Hey guys, Retro Gaming Guy here. So today in this video we're going to unbox, demo, and review the Anbernic RG40XX handheld video game console. So we'll open this up, we'll tour through exactly what is offered on here in terms of functions and features. We'll then boot it up, tour through everything that is offered internally on here on the included SD cards. So we know exactly what we're getting ourselves into here, and then we'll dive into some games and test out the performance. Let's dive into it and get started. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll start opening this up. Here is our handheld. We're going to set that aside. User manual down here at the bottom, and then what I assume is going to be our charging cable. So we'll open this up real quick. All right, so it's USB-A to USB-C cable right here. That's going to be how we actually charge this. And we'll take a quick look at our manual right here. So it does seem to walk through all of our settings here. Ports as well, main interface menu, so walks you through how you would navigate through here pretty nicely. Walks through your light indicators as well for working, low power, charging, etc. It seems pretty straightforward, comes in a different language on the back side as well. Now let's bring our handheld into the mix here. Alright, so I do see that we have a SD card right here. The SD card is a 128 gigabyte capacity micro SD card, and this is going to be a generic SD card, so I do recommend always backing this up onto like SanDisk or Samsung. You're going to have a much better experience with that long term. I just think that the generic ones just aren't always reliable. So here is our handheld. Looks very sharp right here. You can see we've got this really nice deep blue color here, dual analog sticks, A, B, X, and Y 4-button configuration, D-pad located over here. We've got our menu button on the left-hand side. Over here we have our start and our select buttons. If we take a look up at the top here, we have our L1, L2, R1, R2 shoulder and trigger buttons up there. Power button right here, plus and minus for volume control. We have our light indicator right here, Type-C connection, followed by our reset button, followed by our HDMI port right over here. So we could connect an HDMI cable from here over to our TV, and we'd be able to use this essentially like a controller playing, right on our TV or monitor. So now down here at the bottom, we have speakers on each side. We have our micro SD card slot 1, micro SD card slot 2. Slot 1 already has a 64 gigabyte card in there. That's going to be our operating system. We'll go ahead and put our 128 gigabyte card in here, and this should be where all of our games are. These are recessed in there nicely, so you aren't going to have to worry about accidentally, dislodging and ejecting your card while your handheld is running. That's always a good thing. If you do that, you will likely end up corrupting it if you do that long term. So the fact that they are recessed in there just eliminates that issue altogether. We also have our headphone jack right here as well. Nothing on either end of the handheld, so very nice design here. Now my first impressions of this handheld are that I definitely think that this is a very comfortable design. The buttons seem to be very responsive. Obviously we're not in game yet, so we're gonna have to test that out, but I love the layout and placement of everything. I love the 4-inch IPS screen on here, but we're gonna be on the lookout for any potential issues that may arise. D-pad seems to be quite nice over here as well, so I'm gonna fire this up. We're going to tour through exactly what is offered here, and we'll take it from there. All right, guys, so here we are booted up into our Anbernic RG40XX handheld. Now I'm trying to do this without a ton of glare, so bear with me through this video. It's a little bit tough because the screen is super glossy here. And as we power this on, notice the RGB lights that we get on both analog sticks here. I love the fact that we have that going on here. It definitely seems to really kind of liven up the experience here, and we aren't even diving into it yet. But right here we have game rooms. Next one over we have RA game. We have our app center. We have our favorites. That's going to be a custom collection that you put together yourself, adding all of your favorite games in there for easy access. Next one over is going to be your history. It's going to pull the last 50 games that you played on here, again for easy access. We have our search function, so that's a great way to locate your favorite titles as well without having to scroll through any of your collections. And then we have our settings here, and actually I'm going to go into settings, and let's see, is it the B button or A button to make selections? Okay, so it's the A button to make selections. I'm just going to actually kick up the brightness. Ooh, wrong way. Perfect. All right, excellent. We're going to back out, and I want to tour through what games are included on here. So With this setup, we typically have two different ways of accessing things. We have the game rooms and we have the R8 games. So we're going to game rooms first, and we have the option to choose between TF slot 1 or TF slot 2. So we can go into TF slot 1, and I would imagine we're going to have a lot of crossover between the two. I look at typically the TF slot 1 as going to have, kind of the bare minimum because it is that smaller capacity card. TF slot 2 is going to have much more. So we have PSP in here with, let's see, how many games for PSP? We'll have to jump in and find out. 11 games total in here. We've got some God of War, Chains of Olympus, some Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, Metal Slug XX, Pac-Man Championship Edition, Ridge Racer, Tekken 6, and Tekken 5. PlayStation, we have 20 titles in here. Breath of Fire, 3 and 4 it looks like, Broken Sword. We have Crash Bandicoot, Nitro Kart. We have Insane Trilogy as well in here. Dino Crisis, Gran Turismo, Grand Theft Auto 2. Definitely got some good stuff going on in here. Some Tekken 3. Gotta have Tekken 3 if you have PlayStation. It's one of my all-time favorites. We have Vertical Arcade over here. For Vertical Arcade, we have 152 games. A lot of classic stuff in here for sure. Back out, but I want to look at the Capcom systems because sometimes these can be really wonky on handhelds and also any type of plug-and-play setup. So 30 games for Capcom System 1. At first glance, everything does look proper in here. I'm not seeing anything that seems out of place. Capcom System 2, 36 games. The count is correct there as well. And 3, we have 5 games. All right, so that's good. We aren't seeing like Metal Slug in there or any bizarre titles that don't belong. Neo Geo, we have 152 titles, and I'm sure we have our Metal Slugs in here as well. I'm going to go up there and just double check that because those are my favorite Neo Geo games, to be perfectly honest. There we go. Yeah, we've got a ton of Metal Slug in here, which is always good to see. FB Neo with 473 games. You're going to find a lot of arcade classics in here as well. We see our X-Men titles down there. Very nice. Vampire Hunter 2. Got some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in here, which is always good. Sweet. All right, MAME over here now with 471 games. And is that the same count? All right, no, it's 473 and 471. Okay, just making sure. We have Game Boy Advance over here with 232, NES with 432, Super Nintendo with 429. And I do like the way that everything's laid out in alphabetical order. We also have a screenshot for each of the titles. In some cases, we also have the logo, we have the cartridge, and we have the box art. So that's kind of a nice touch to create a really unique sort of setup here. Sega Master System over here with 353 games. Mega Drive 481. Sega 32X with 9 games. Game Boy Color with 375 games. Game Boy with 403 games. PC Engine with 328 games. Neo Geo Pocket Color with 41 games. Game Gear from Sega, 328 games. And WonderSwan Color over here with 73 games. And I wanted to see if we have Mario games in here because that's another thing that we just don't always see anymore. For obvious reasons, they're leaving a lot of that stuff off. So let's just go up here and see if we have any Super Mario Brothers, just, as an example here. And it doesn't look like we do. And again, that's become very standard these days. We'll go in here and double check as well. Super Street Fighter, Star Wars in here. These are some good games for Star Wars, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, obviously, going in alphabetical order, we would have seen it already, but I just want to make sure that it wasn't one of those weird situations where there's like mislabeling or something like that. But yeah, definitely no Mario games here from what I can tell. So that's TF slot 1. We'll go to slot 2 over here. So this is the 128 gigabyte card now. So 10 games in here for PSP, and definitely some crossover. Not total crossover though. I mean, there's some games that you'll find from one card to the other, but there are some, you know, new ones as well. So 138 PlayStation games. I mean, that's a lot of games here for PlayStation. All the Tomb Raiders, it looks like. Tekken 3 again, which you have to have. Soul Calibur, great game. So, I mean, this is definitely what you would want to dive into, in my opinion, over the smaller capacity. So for vertical, we have 156. For Capcom System, all those are going to be the same. Neo Geo, 99 games. FB Neo, 1,601 games, so a lot more over here. We have MAME with 986 games. Excellent. And I wonder if we have WWF Superstars. We don't have WrestleFest, though. It is what it is. We have Wrestle War. That's a good one, too. But no WrestleFest. Okay. That's all right. Game Boy Advance, 804 games. NES, 679 games. We'll do the same thing. We'll see if there's anything, you know, Super Mario related. Oops, I went by where it would have been. Yeah, no such luck. Super Nintendo, 1,098 games, and again, we'll double check and see if maybe they slipped us a Mario game in here, but probably not. Super Metroid, but no Super Mario. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, this has become very typical to find, you know, there being no Mario games in here. Sega Master System, we have 197 games, and I saw we have Sonic there, so rest assured we've got Sonic covered at least, even though we don't have Mario. We have Mega Drive with 515 games. We have Sega 32X with 9 games. We have Game Boy Color with 405 games. We have Game Boy with 394. PC Engine with 243. Neo Geo Pocket Color with 37. Game Gear with 126. And WonderSwan Color with 66. Alright, so next we're going to jump over here to RA Game. And this is a different selection. You're going to find a lot more game collections in here, actually. So we're just going to go into slot 2. We're going to kind of tour through here. So we got PSP. It's going to be the same thing as what we saw previously. We've got PlayStation. But now we have NDS. So Nintendo DS is in here with 11 games. I see Contra, Final Fantasy, Harvest Moon, Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfect, Metal Slug 7. We've got Metroid Prime Pinball, Ridge Racer DS. So definitely some cool stuff in here. We've got N64, just 10 games. And let's see what we have. We have Bomberman 2, Bust a Move, Castlevania, some Gecko titles, Mission Impossible. We've got Paperboy, Wave Race down at the bottom. So not a ton of Nintendo 64 games, but it's a start. We have Open Bore over here, which I'm a big fan of. Just 9 games in there for Open Bore. And it does appear to be the file names, not, you know, everything typed out nicely, but it is what it is. Dreamcast. I'm a big Dreamcast fan. We've got 9 games in here. So starts with some Capcom versus SNK 2. We've got Capcom versus SNK 2000. Crazy Taxi 1 and 2. Dead or Alive 2. Miss Pac-Man and Soul Calibur. In fact, we have 2 Soul Caliburs here. Looks like that one's probably the Japanese version. We'll back out. So, you know, there's more titles I'd love to see on here that I know would play well if those games in fact play well. But again, same as N64, it's a good start. Atomic Wave, we've got 5 games in here. We've got Capcom System 1, 2, and 3, I assume. Yeah. FB Neo, PC Engine, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance as well. We've got Game Gear in the corner. All of that's going to be what we already saw in the previous selection. So we've got some homebrew in here, and I assume that's going to be MAME homebrew. Yes, that's MAME homebrew, so that's good. And the downside to this is you're going to see a lot of file names in here rather than, like, a couple of them are typed out nicely, but some are like these are all, you know, just the file names. So you have to do a little digging here, explore for yourself to find, you know, what's truly offered there. We have MAME here with 986. Mega Drive, MDCD over here, okay. And that is going to be our Mega Drive CD with 11 games. MSX over here with 335 games. Sega Naomi with 7 games. And, you know, there's some pretty cool titles in here as well. Toy Fighter's pretty cool, actually. We've got Neo Geo with 99 games, so same as what we saw before. Neo Geo Pocket Color, PC Engine CD. We've got Sega 32X over here. We had that before too. So all these are going to be collections that we saw in the previous selection. Vertical Arcade, we saw that before. Next we have Virtual Boy over here. 23 Virtual Boy games in here. Wonder Swan as well. And then we have ports. So a bunch of ports in here. All right, so I mean, pretty cool selection here, and this is, you know, your standard format for Anbernic these days, where you have both the game rooms as well as RA game section. So let's jump into some gameplay demos and see what the performance is like. Jumping into the Anbernic RG40XX handheld game console.
Round one.
All right, guys, we jumped in here, we checked out this handheld, and we had a great experience on here, honestly. I love the layout and design of this. The buttons are very responsive. Analog sticks are on point here. What else? The audio quality, exceptional. Love the 4-inch IPS screen. It's crystal clear. It's just a really great picture. Once I kicked up the brightness, it was on a lower brightness, so once I kicked it up a little bit, it was even better. Shoulder and trigger buttons, very responsive. I love the fact that it doesn't matter where you engage those on here, because everybody has different sized hands and fingers, so not everybody's going to hit it in the same spot, but you can almost hear that right now as I'm just hitting it aimlessly. It just performs and is super responsive, and you can hear that, you know, those clicks are engaging no matter whether I'm on the outer edges or on the inner edges or dead center on here. So love to see that. We also have the HDMI port on the top, so you can connect this over to a TV or monitor. I didn't film that portion of this today because I'm filming on the go, but I did test this out at home and it works beautifully with the HDMI port there. So volume control being external on here, very easy to make adjustments because not all emulators and games are going to have the same audio levels. So you'll find that sometimes you have to bring the audio up. Sometimes it'll be too loud and you'll bring it down. Now in terms of performance, Anbernic did a great job of including games that are going to perform on here very well. Nothing drives me crazier than when you have a game, on your list, you select it, you launch it, and it underperforms, or it's just a horrible experience. That's not the case here. They have an excellent assortment of games that all perform very well on here. Now, N64, Dreamcast, and PSP, you're going to have a little bit of disconnect there if you were to add in your own ROMs into the mix. Some games I think are going to perform very well, as I experienced here with everything that's included, but some of the more demanding stuff I think will sort of sputter and give you a little bit of pushback. So it's a little bit dicier with the higher end stuff: Dreamcast, PSP, and N64. PlayStation, perfect across the board, and then everything lower than that, so Genesis, Master System, Super Nintendo, NES, Classic Arcade, all that stuff is going to perform perfectly. So definitely a great experience here. You're definitely getting bang for your buck because this is priced at just $85, give or take. Obviously, prices do fluctuate, so that could go up a little, could go down a little bit, but right around $85, I think it's more than fair for what you get here. Plug and play, ready to go. Tons of games on here, and of course, you have the ability to customize your experience by adding in your own ROMs as well. So you don't have to just deal with what's currently available on here. As I mentioned, there's no Mario games on here, so if you're a big Mario fan, as most people tend to be, you're going to have to bring those games into the mix yourself. So you do have to do a little bit of the work yourself, but it's totally worth it in the end. It's a great experience. I definitely would recommend this to the retro gamer that wants something that they can take with them on the go. So I'll provide a link up here at the top of your screen, as well as in the description of this video, where you can get some additional information on this handheld right here. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of what you saw here today. Are you a fan? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's going to do it for today. You guys know the deal though. If you enjoyed the content today, please hit subscribe. It's a huge help to me here on YouTube. And of course, give me a thumbs up on the video if you appreciate the content. Thank you guys so much for your time. I'll see you on the next video.